we were like, no, there's nothing wrong with us.
Yeah.
This is good. Not good is we haven't kept an eye. We're great designers. Are we great managers? And, you have to have this almost self-reflection. Can I manage someone appropriately or properly to get the outcome we need?
Welcome to the Design Dialogues, the podcast where we dive deep into the business of interior design. I'm Beth Beesky, the founder of More Time to Design and a designer with over 13 years of experience. I'm here to help you navigate the challenges of running a successful studio, whether you're a solo designer or leading a team. Each week, I chat with industry experts and share practical insights to help you streamline your processes, grow your business, and create a studio that thrives. Thanks for tuning in, and I hope you enjoy our Design Dialogues. Hi everyone, welcome to this week's episode of the Design Dialogues podcast. And this week I am joined by Sonia Warner and Jacinta Woods from Woods & Warner. Hello ladies.
Hi Beth. Thanks for having us.
Oh, thank you so much for joining me. Now, as always, I like to start by finding out what can you see out your window today?
Ta-da!
Also,
beautiful wild
beautiful Simon Barlow orchid. But if you look towards our left, we are in a little set of shops in Narrabeen, which it's not the most glamorous car park, but it's very convenient for client suppliers.
Great oak tree,
etc. Oh, and a beautiful oak tree.
But it's nice. So its convenience is always important.
Yes,
number one.
Especially when you're lugging bags in and out and all the rest of it. I want to pull up right out front and get
unload.
Exactly. So tell me a little bit about your business. Just before we press record, we were reflecting on the fact that you guys are celebrating 18 years this year, which is such an amazing achievement. So tell me a little bit about Woods & Warner.
Well, 18 years ago, Jacinta and I were working for a company, Living Edge Property Styling, and we were both starting up our own sort of interior decorating businesses on the side, and we just connected, didn't we? We clicked, and we just thought, what are we doing? Like, let's just start this together. We hardly knew each other.
The GFC hit, so we decided
awful time to start a business, but we thought, why not? Why not? But yeah,
I think, and it was back when you're sort of a little bit more risk taking. It was when the industry was really growing in Australia. So we were like, what's the worst? I mean, you don't talk about failure. What's the worst?
I had 3 kids at the time.
I was single and ready to mingle and all the rest of it. So
what's the worst?
What's the worst that could happen?
Yeah, but so we decided to, we were still working, but we took on a few smaller jobs together just to see, well, how, can this work? And that's sort of, you're doing it in the evening or on the weekends. And it really did take off. I think the synergy between us, or the yin and yang, whatever you want to call it, really worked.
Yeah.
So we probably did that, that sort of offside piece for sort of 6 to 9 months.
Yeah.
And then went, let's just
take the leap of faith.
Yeah, let's do it. So we rented our first little 30 square meter studio in Crow's Nest and loved it. We loved every minute of it. It was, up 4 flights of stairs, no parking, no staff, no.
It was our secret getaway, wasn't it?
It was ours,
That's very cool. Yeah. So I'd love to, when often we hear about or see business partnerships, there's usually I think about the girls from Bone Maid, their sister-in-laws, or it might be 2 sisters, or you've known each other for a long time. How did the fact that you guys didn't really know each other that well, how did you work out that, yes, this is going to work?
Oh, that's a really tough one.
I know.
I don't think we knew.
We had great eye for, we had common interests. For the main thing, Great eye
for detail and all.
We're finishing each other's sentences back there. We're doing still now.
You know what? We just never thought it wasn't going to work.
Yeah. We were in the same mindset. We both wanted it so badly. Yeah. Like there was actually no turning back. We had personally, we're totally self-funded. We had invested so much into this that we never ever saw it as, well, what if it didn't work? It was always, how can we make it better, or what can we do to? Yeah.
I mean, not to say we didn't have our ups and downs. Like, you know, that's like any relationship. But I guess we both bring very different things to the table. And I guess we sort of trialed and errored.
Yeah. And had you both wanted to work for yourselves, like both kind of always thought we'll have our own business?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, always.
Like, yeah. I mean, I was 23 at the time, but Son, like,
was much older.
A little, like a decade, you know, a little bit older. But I think coming in from very different planes, you'd had a career already.
I was hairdressing for 20 years prior.
Oh, wow. You had an experience. Yeah. You know, I had no experience, but knew what I wanted. Like it, you know, and again, this is where the yin and the yang kind of complement each other in a blind way. I don't know.
Absolutely.
But I also think with so many businesses, you kind of almost have to have that absolute blind faith, and like that failure isn't actually an option. Like we're just going to keep pushing through because that's the only way we know. I think whether you're in a design partnership or doing it solo, it's kind of the only way to run a business, because otherwise you just wouldn't do it because it's so hard.
Yeah. And I think whether we like it or not, but when we started, we needed to make it work because financially we had no other income.
Yeah.
So that was the driving force. We both studied. You both had to pay off your study fees. You both had, whether it was rents or mortgages, to pay. Like that was initially the driving force of can Son put food on the table for her family?
Yeah.
And I, as a 20s,
have a fabulous social life.
I'll go out on the weekends and you know, move out from my parents. That was the sheer reality of driving the business. I mean, we've got obviously different outcomes now. You know, the more you go into a business, it's not just financial.
No.
I mean, that has to be
a big part of it.
But you know, I think when you first start out, you take on everything.
Yeah.
Probably working for clients that you don't necessarily want to work for.
Yeah.
But you do it.
Yeah.
And you just suck it up. And I was going to say that's probably the one piece that Sonia and I have always had, is that there is a work ethic there that is like no other. We know that if we can, we will. Yeah. And it's not like if we can't, we can't. It's just we know that the two of us will turn up and make it happen if we commit to something.
Yeah. And I think that's so important regardless, but I don't think a partnership would work if that was not equal between the two of you.
Yeah.
So you guys have, as we've said, been in business for 18 years. How does it work between the two of you? Do you have a clear divide across the projects? Are you all across everything? Like, how do you kind of make that work?
Look, it's changed over the years because, you know, initially there was just the two of us. So
it was predominantly decorating back then, wasn't it?
Yeah. So the two of us did everything. We sourced everything together. We drew everything together. Like, you know, everything was the same. As it's grown, we conceptually always plan together.
Yeah.
Like the bigger jobs are always together. If there's when we say smaller filler jobs or jobs which where, you know, you can't put on the schedule for like 5 team members to work across, you might do it separately and then just get the other person to, you know, one of us to check in. But, you know, we have clear defined roles, but then that changes based on how much work we've got on at the time. Yeah.
And what about like the non-design stuff? So the marketing, the social media, the finance, all of that kind of stuff. Do you have strengths that you play into?
Yeah, like Son's probably more on the creative side and runs the creative elements of our studio, and I sort of look after financial and or the boring things.
Someone's got to do it.
So I was going to say those things that we don't outsource too much, because I think with a boutique business, like, yes, we have a bookkeeper and an accountant and things like that, but I'm very across
every detail
of that, because, you know, you can lose money very quickly on that side.
Yeah.
So, but any of the sort of
social media, we've got somebody that looks after that within our team. She's also a part of the design team. But
yeah.
And how big is your team?
At the moment, 6. So including us, 6.
Yeah, wow, that's a sizable studio. And how do you, like, how many projects would you have on the go to make sure you've got enough work for all of them?
There's actually probably about 30 projects going at the moment.
Yeah.
I mean, they're all at different stages, of course. Some are in council, some are at tender, some are being built, some we're waiting on, just about to install final finishes of homes, kitchens, bathrooms going. So, yeah.
That's a lot. That's a lot to keep. There's a lot of balls to keep in the air.
Yeah. It's the way we've always worked. We've always micromanaged everything together, and it just seems to it works. Yeah.
And how have you kind of, like, you know, Sonia, you know, when you started, you had 3 kids.
Yeah.
Jacinta, you're pregnant at the moment. We're growing a baby at the moment.
Yes.
How has that changed the dynamics in terms of, like, when maybe one of you has had to step out of the business for family reasons? Like, how have you managed that?
Really haven't. We actually haven't. It's like we haven't. I was, when we started, my husband was almost like a stay-home dad, just so he supported me in setting up this venture. It's something that the two of us wanted so badly. So he was pretty much hands-on as a stay-at-home mum for our children, which was great. Then all through school again, then they were so used to having Darren as the mum, they would go to Darren, which was, I mean, of course, you feel like, oh, my God, am I missing out, blah, blah, blah. But, yeah.
But you were also providing. So it's, you know, it's probably more, when I say acceptable, like daddy daycare 18 years ago was different.
Yeah.
Now, you know, you were funding them. Like,
young family.
Making this business happen. So, you know, that would maintain, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. But, I mean, of course, we own the business. We can be flexible if we can. Like, we're not hard on ourselves.
Yeah.
The whole work-life balance, we could be better at it.
What is it that you talk of?
What is that thing?
What is that?
But, yeah, of course. Yeah.
That's very cool. So what are some of the challenges from working in a design partnership? Like, I think sometimes if you own your own business and it's just you, there's some big downfalls to that kind of thing. But what are some of the downfalls to a design partnership?
Look, I think, like, we're human at the end of the day.
Mm-hmm.
And you have 6 females all in one office, and some weeks are high stress.
Yeah.
Sometimes things don't go to plan. So whilst you try and keep your demeanour or actions considerate, that doesn't always happen. But I think as a partnership, we've learned how to forgive.
Yeah.
We've learned how to it's not always correct in how we've approached something, but again, it's all coming, like, again, the older you get, that you realise it's all coming from a good place.
Yeah.
Like, you want the best for the client.
Bottom line, that's what it is for us. It's, I mean, we'll never always see eye to eye, and sometimes that always makes maybe a design scheme or whatever our intention is better, because we're actually stopping, pausing. Yeah. We've got such strong ideas that are totally opposite. There has to be a medium. It has to work
Yeah.
We need to present one idea back to the client or
Yeah.
And is
I mean,
that when you have had kind of, you know, rocky moments, has it been over design stuff because you've both felt so kind of like passionate about a certain direction, or is it usually more around business stuff?
bit of both.
Yeah.
It's again, like every relationship, who's doing more, who's doing less, who's bringing what to the table, who's not bringing, like that is relationship.
So much like a marriage, isn't it?
It is. Yeah.
Every birthday card, dear wifey.
Yeah. You know, like it'd be untruthful to sit here and say it's like
it was so perfect. Yeah. Majority,
like, you know, as long as the scale is 80-20 for us.
Yeah, we'd be happy with that.
Yeah. I mean, we did probably a few years ago, wasn't between us, but we had a very toxic set of staff, like 4 girls that just rocked our world.
Yeah.
And that was, I remember distinctly one Christmas, we called each other and we went, I don't know if we can do this anymore.
Yeah.
And that was really hard. Like it was facing I don't want to have staff around that make us feel uncomfortable or have not the intention or integrity.
But we had
Woods and Warner and something we built for so long. So we generally, the two of us considered, do we stop?
Mm.
And you know, we obviously had the Christmas break and we were like, no, there's nothing wrong with us.
Yeah.
This is good.
Mm.
What's not good is we haven't kept an eye. You know, we're great designers. Are we great managers?
Yeah.
And, you know, you have to have this almost self-reflection. Can I manage someone appropriately or properly to get the outcome we need? So, yes, we got rid of...
We had a makeover.
We had a makeover. We had an internal makeover. And
it was the best thing ever.
I love that. And I think that's so, in a way, brave, because I think so many, you know, like, as you both said, you came to this 18 years ago, fresh-faced new designers kind of thing. You've learned a lot, I'm sure, in those 18 years about how to design a space. But I also imagine that you've learned a lot about how to run a business. And that is not a lot of skill. Like, we don't get trained how to run a business. And so often it's, you know, you learn it on the job. And when really tough stuff like that happens, it can rock your world because you're like, how did we get here? Like, and what do I do? And who do I ask for help?
Yeah. It wasn't really even business. It was just micromanaging personalities and
and what was causing angst, it was like, oh my gosh, we've got, and you know, and it coincided with moving into the studio we're in now is only 3 years old. So we had our dream. We had the 3-level amazing
studio that
we've always wanted, but we're so incredibly unhappy, which was so sad. But so we started off whatever year it was. It was just the two of us.
Going back to basics.
We went back to basics
and
we stopped and we trained, and we are now like could not be happier with how it all worked out.
Yeah.
It was the best decision.
Yeah.
So, and what, I suppose, when you go to hire new people now, like you kind of had to rehire your whole team, what are some of the things that you think about that you had learnt from that experience that you didn't kind of think about beforehand?
The experience, someone will let you know on their resume, divide it by 2 at minimum. So if they say they've got 8 years experience, they've probably got 4.
Yep.
As a detailed drawer or detailed designer. So measure your expectation on half that. We have very high expectations, so that's also quite possibly
problematic.
It's problematic, but it also align that. But someone's demeanour or their core values as a person and how they then fit within a group. So it's probably a little bit more
micromanaging personalities and demeanors,
and making sure that we've learned to let the younger girls take over.
Yep.
Because their skill set and what they can achieve. If we can give them a concept, we can then get them to brighten that for us and be comfortable with that. So we're sort of looking at, and I say girls only because it's always been girl, could be whatever, but we're looking for that that real passion and drive that we had.
Yep.
Just hard workers, people that want to come to work, provide great service to clients, happy demeanour, and do beautiful work. Again, bottom line is keeping the client happy. We just
and I think having junior, mid-level, senior as well.
Yeah.
Having
those little hierarchies in the studio.
Yeah. So your senior can assist the two. Your juniors striving to be better.
Yeah.
And having clear, defined roles in that.
And I think that's so key, having the clear, defined roles. So often I think people go into, especially for a first hire, people don't always really clearly define what they are wanting. They go, I need some help and I need maybe a junior, but it's like, is it a junior who's really good at developing a concept and like fleshing it out and pulling it together? Or is it a junior who's really good at documentation? They're two quite different people. Yeah. And understanding actually really what you need in the studio, quite often, if you don't do that, you're setting them up for failure, which can be hard.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I think one piece that we've sort of learned as well, sometimes the documentation or the specification is left on the junior or the intern.
Mm-hmm.
It's a really bad thing.
It's a dreadful decision.
It really needs to be on us or the senior, because
it's that final piece of the puzzle.
Yeah. If clients are ordering or builders are ordering off that spec sheet,
that's the thing.
I think
that person needs to be experienced.
That person needs to really, really understand, what is this glass made of? What is the thickness? What is the shape, height? And I think perhaps in the earlier days, because that side is a little bit laborious or not as exciting, because the job's done, the concepts, everything's like so exciting.
Yeah.
You sort of just leave it. But no, we've really learned that is probably one of the most important factors in hiring, is that the junior doesn't get that role.
Because it is, and, being in business for a while, you will understand this, I'm sure, tenfold. It is the area where you can really get in trouble really easily if something's not right. Yeah. And so it is actually kind of unfair to put that on the junior. But it's not the funnest part of a project, that's for sure. But I think if you do set up your studio that way, you just have to have the cross check and the process of like, how does this get checked? Yeah. So we've kind of touched on a few things, but what's something you would tell yourself if you could kind of go back 18 years, first day in the office, because you weren't Woods and Warner back then, you were Designers in the City?
We were.
Yeah.
So I remember I don't know if it was the one in Crow's Nest, but I think it was in Crow's Nest near the dry cleaners. And I would used to, I would drive past it. And I was like, then they've changed kind of thing. So if you could go back to your, selves 18 years ago as Designers in the City, what would you tell yourselves?
Leading into the unknown is a healthy thing.
Yeah. Probably be a bit bolder.
Yeah.
Maybe we didn't risk take schemes enough.
Yeah.
I think, remember initially we said it was a lot of a financial piece for us
We
initially.
would risk take business,
but
when it came to schemes,
we'd probably keep it a bit safer because we knew that the clients would accept that, and it was
we were building up clientele.
Yeah.
And do you think to that point, you were still actually working out, like, what is your signature style?
Yes. Yeah. And what are we known for?
Yeah.
It in us.
Yeah. It's just, I feel like we were maybe ducks underwater just trying to grab,
Yeah.
rather than, you know what? No, this is more a Woods and Warner piece. Like, for instance, today, like one of the set of drawings we got back for a client, you know, on one of our girls, I said, you know what, the design's great, but I'm bored. That was just the feedback. I'm bored because it's lovely.
It's nice.
And I think 18 years ago, that would have been a real
beautiful tick,
beautiful interior, but there's nothing wow to it, you know. So I think could have we done a little bit more wow earlier on to sort of see projects build up to where they are now.
Yeah. And do you think you can actually see, almost like if you're looking back going, I can see kind of almost maybe key projects where maybe it was the client that felt really safe and they pushed you and you're like, oh, wow, like that works. And then the next client, like, can you kind of see that, you know, journey of the business?
We can.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, we've never really had a marketing portfolio as such. It's like we almost use the prior job
as the next
jump to what we want to be.
Yeah.
So I think you can see that the budget's got higher.
Yeah.
And you're sort of not scrambling to make
things meet
as much.
Or compromise on design.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Having those anchor jobs along the way that helped provide the next jump, I think, you know. But I mean, did we do our best? Yes.
Yeah.
Could have we pushed things more? Probably.
Yeah. Looking back.
Yeah.
And it's that tension when you start out, because you're like, when you start out, you're like, well, where's the next job coming from?
You don't want to fail.
And how far can you push it? But then also the reward, if you do push into it and it works, is, you know, it really does, as you say, like it takes you to the next level. So it's a hard one for new designers.
Yeah. It's
tricky.
It is tricky, especially if you don't have the financial backing just to let your creative process succeed, you know. So it's kind of the chicken or the egg. You know, you can see the scenario of how it can, why you kind of maybe maintain a relatively safe path initially.
Yeah.
But then the further you go along, you're like, I'm just going to push it here.
Yeah. It's very cool. So what excites you about the industry at the moment?
We're doing well, clients, I guess, really getting into, for us, we've noticed almost like a hotel essence, where they're quite open to bringing in like cellar design and extending kitchens into coffee stations and
wanting more out of an interior, I guess, or wanting more out of the entertainment function
side of
the
it.
house.
Wellness centres.
Yeah. And I think largely, like, you know, if you look on, you know, TV or any other Netflix, Stan, etc., design has become a huge piece. And whether you like shows like $1
million listings
and one of The Block, whether you like that or not, they have provided a source of, maybe I could do that. So whether we don't probably agree with the quick pace of what they're doing, but
it's opening their eyes
it's
to
opening clients'
more.
eyes. So what we're loving is that clients are becoming braver. Like as we're becoming braver, older, they are too.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Which is very cool.
Yeah.
We love it.
I love how materials have become, like, you know,
very multi-textural and bolder.
Like you don't just have polished chrome, stainless steel and black. You now have 16 finishes for tapware. It's
Yeah.
The choice for Australians, I think, I mean, obviously we're very still far behind in what we can deliver. In, you know, like Europe and America have a lot more access to finishes and things, but I think we are doing really well in, you know, even if you look at marble or quartzite, like it's coming out of Brazil, Italy, like anywhere in Europe. It's not just Calcutta, Carrera marble, granite,
choice.
And a bit of super white.
Oh, super, but even super white.
That's bold for some people.
Yeah, and I think there's a stone that we're putting into one of our Northbridge projects. It's coming from Brazil.
Yeah.
Like, this is, as Sonia will always say, this has come out of the earth. Like, this is bizarre. Like,
so beautiful.
I think the access that we're receiving is great for the industry. Yeah.
And where do you guys get inspired from and draw your inspiration from?
Travel. I mean, that's the best. But I mean, you've got to get out.
Yeah.
You've got to go to restaurants. We stayed at the Eve Hotel last weekend. We were doing work there, but it's so good just to get out and explore and
I don't have very many hobbies because it's like, well,
it's the crossover, really.
If you go to a bar, if you go to a restaurant, if
looking
you go
at design,
for a walk, if you do, like, you're constantly design. You know, you're probably doing a bit more travel these days because you can. I'm probably getting out for a meal here and there where I can. So, you know, whether it's magazines, Pinterest, whether it's Instagram, I think every single platform gives you something.
Yeah.
And
constantly.
Yeah. Or you might go to someone's house and then go, oh, gosh, that's amazing. And then you kind of, your think tank is, I mean, ask us any political knowledge, we have zero, but ask us, you know, how a detail is run on a corner or whatever, we know all.
You nailed it. And I think that's a really interesting thing. Like, so often people ask, oh, where do you get your inspiration from? And I think the reality is that it's kind of just, it's by osmosis. Like, it's just kind of, you're absorbing it all the time.
Always. Yeah.
So you guys obviously run a very busy studio. What is one productivity hack that you have in your studio that you think helps you keep on top of everything?
Templates. We're so big on templates.
Yeah.
It saves so much time to be that organised. We were saying earlier, our Monday morning meetings are just crucial to the week. We can't start unless everything's outlined. It's all printed off. It's literally a checklist of what needs to be done. And it's quite good for the girls too when we know we've completed something together. It's a bit of a yay moment.
And then just having a system or a back-end system that is documented, every single piece. So there's, you know, in terms of a client file, every single action, meeting, etc.
is filed.
And is that something that you have done from day one, or is it something that you have learned the hard way?
We've learned to, if we want to put more focus on design, we need to put things in place to make decisions time effective. And it works for us for being that organised.
And I think because the business runs across design and decorating, we often find that now if everything is filed or if there's a consistency there, the 6 people in the office can pick up what is needed.
Without knowing about the project. Yeah.
Like if a client calls and Son and I aren't in the office or one of the designers isn't, at least there is someone that could say, let me look that up for you.
Yeah.
Here's
the answer.
That's awesome.
Because if it's not filed, then they wouldn't have a clue. Even though they might not be on the job. Like if the client's saying, oh, where do I get my door hardware from? What was the supplier? And things like that could be missed, which seems silly that it's missed. But I think when you start the business, everything's in your head.
Yeah.
It's just the two of us. So
yeah,
it's a
totally.
quick call to on, hey, who's got that? And then whatever. But now it's like it cannot just be in our heads.
Yeah.
That's a hard thing, because training yourself into
Discipline
or consistency.
We're so good at discipline, aren't we?
When you're working across a million
Yeah.
jobs, it's all in my head. Just ask me. But then you're like,
We can't.
And was that something that you kind of learned, that you were like, okay, if we are going to grow, we need to put this in place? Or was it kind of like you fell across it as you're like, oh, you'd have the first hire and they'd be just constantly asking you questions because it was all in your head?
a bit of both?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think the questions, you can limit the questions if you've already put down the answer and they can find it. Yeah.
And, we'd probably take on 10 jobs 10 years ago. Now, there is 30 jobs on the books. So I think you realise, and we're not getting any younger, you can't have all of it in your head. You can have the concepts in your head.
Then as of next week, we'll have another baby in the studio. So we won't be able to ring up and say, what's in your head?
You still answer, but anyway.
Probably answer.
I think maternity leave as a business owner is a myth.
A myth. Yeah.
Wouldn't it be nice though?
We were talking about it would be really nice, but then there's a project we've been working on together for 5 years, and I'm like, I'm not missing that.
No.
Yeah.
The baby just comes.
Totally. And I think that's the thing. I think that's the mindset of a business owner, where it's kind of like, yes, I want to spend time with my baby, obviously, but the business is another baby kind of thing. And you're so invested. And
Isn't it? Yeah.
So apart from the baby, what are we all looking forward to for the next 12 months?
Oh, I mean, we've got some really exciting things coming. We can't talk about it, but there is going to be another level of
service that we offer.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Which is going to be a beautiful add-on to the business, but we need time to finish it. We are excited. Like, if we do our short-term goals, we've got 3 beautiful installs: Camaret, Northbridge, and Avoca. So they'll all finish, be wrapped up by sort of end of April, early May. So that kind of takes us to these 6 months.
Yeah.
We then have probably 3 or 4 beautiful projects in tender that we want to really, I feel like it's celebrating our best work.
Oh,
yeah,
beautiful projects coming up.
And you know what it is? It's the whole 2 or 3 years ago when we decided to do that big
changeover,
look at ourselves. What can we do? What can we do better? This is all the work that's coming from that. And so I feel like we could get to the end of the year and be really proud of ourselves that has, like, if those jobs are at least starting or in production,
it's a big win.
It would be amazing.
And then Revelstoke.
Oh my God, yes.
We've got our first international going, which is incredible. So
Amazing.
Yeah, that's incredible. Ski lodge in Revelstoke in Canada.
Yeah.
That's very exciting.
That will definitely be, like, we're hoping to get a roof on, or the builders, I say we, builders in Canada are hoping to get a roof on by the end of the year.
Yeah. Which
then, like, next year for the interiors and working out all of that will just be
mind-blowing.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
I'm almost like, it's like we've done the conceptual work and now you're in this build phase, which we're not a part of.
Yeah.
But we still get feeds from there. And it's almost like you're detached, but you're not. But next year we'll be back in. Yeah. Well, we do want to do a bit more travel next year as well. We're sort of on hold at the moment, but then next year,
babies, they do keep your feet planted, don't they? Well, that sounds like a very, very exciting 12 months ahead of you. Thank you so much for joining me today. I have loved hearing about the world of Woods & Warner.
Thank you. It was great.
Have fun. Thank you.
Thank you for listening to this design dialogue. I hope you have found it full of inspiration and helpful information to take into your design studio. If you like the podcast and want to hear more, consider sharing it or writing a review, as it helps us reach more people, and follow us wherever you get your podcasts. If you would like to unlock the power of effortless studio management and elevate your design business to new heights, please follow the links in our show notes to see how more time to design can help you build a better business. Have a great week, and I will see you for our next Design Dialogue.